Episode 197 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast with Chris Goddard, founder and president of Chris Goddard PR, brought to you by Revenue River. Revenue River is a Colorado-based digital technology and marketing agency helping companies in the outdoor industry execute their e-commerce and online efforts. As certified BigCommerce and Shopify partners and a Diamond HubSpot partner, they are well equipped with the technical experience and expertise to solve any business problem. Whether you need help with website design, system integrations, online store management, or growth marketing, they will help you achieve your goals. Revenue River clientele also includes Sterling Rope, Goddard USA, Alps Outdoors, and the Outdoor Biz Podcast. When you're ready to compete and win online, contact the Revenue River team at revenueriver.co/outdoorbiz. I believe achieving success in the outdoor biz is dependent upon embracing the outdoor lifestyle and learning from outdoor leaders that came before you. If you agree, then listen up for tips, advice, and hacks about growing or starting your career in the outdoor biz. My name is Rick Sayes. Welcome to the Outdoor Biz Podcast. Today I'm excited to speak with Chris Goddard from the CGPR agency. Chris has almost 40 years of public relations experience and has put together a collection of PR veterans across multiple disciplines. Their deep working knowledge of each client's business allows them to play a strategic role in the business and be more than a simple service provider. Are you feeling like not enough of the right people are offering you their attention and trust? Even though you have a reputation of providing the best gear money can buy or delivering a once-in-a-lifetime experience, you're putting in the reps and barely keeping pace. We all know the business and online landscape has changed, and it's worth considering how far you've come and what more you can build on your way to gaining back that leverage. I'm partnering with the Adriatic Academy to help you create a tool to do just that and have a little fun, too. It's called Podcasters Workshop Croatia. Imagine beginning your day along the shore of the Adriatic Sea, taking in aromas of steaming hot cappuccino and fresh croissants while the sea breeze caresses your face. You might own an outdoor retail shop, a hot startup outdoor brand, or an adventure travel outfitting business, and our goal is for you to leave this workshop having said, "This week I'm walking away with a new tool where not only can I generate more revenue, but begin building a stronger relationship with current and new customers. I'm doing the happy dance." Join us in Croatia. Go to ricksayes.com/Croatia to get all the details and grab your spot. We'd love to have you along. That's ricksayes.com/Croatia. Hey, Chris, welcome to the Outdoor Biz Podcast.
Well, really looking forward to talking with you, Rick.
Yeah, great to catch up. So are you home? Are you in Marblehead today?
I am in Marblehead. I am not on a plane.
Nice.
I normally travel about 150,000 miles a year, but today I'm home in gray, stormy Marblehead.
Yeah, good for you. Cool. Well, it must be nice to be getting a little relaxation in before the show. We're going to be at the show, another week and a half?
Yeah, I don't know if relaxation would be the word. But
well, it's not.
Yeah,
it's good to be working from home. That's right.
Exactly.
Let's start with how you got into the outdoors. How did you get introduced to the outdoors?
It's a two-part story. The first part was really through skiing. I grew up in New York City, and my dad took me skiing to a place close to the city, and I got hooked from there. And then later on, sort of phase two was my passion for sailing. And, racing sailboats keeps me sane. But it was really when I was young. It was probably when I was 8, skiing. And I wish I could remember the name of the mountain outside of New York City. It's changed several times. But that was what really got me hooked, getting a kid out of the city into skis. And that was it. And I never looked back.
And you still do a lot of sailing, right?
I still do a lot of sailing, race large and big boats here in Marblehead as well as in Newport Beach. I just find that it's a great way you really have to lose yourself into the race, and you can't think about anything else. And the other thing is no one can reach you. And so it's also very physical. And so that combination it gives me a piece of sanity when I really need it.
Yeah, I've been on a sailboat like twice, but it always looks really fun. And I can see how you really have to lose yourself in what you're doing because there's so much you're doing, right?
It can be fun. Gorgeous, but when it's really blowing and the weather is miserable, it's not so much fun. So you don't really have a choice because you're in the middle of the race, and so you just have to keep going. Yeah,
but that's like any outdoor activity. If you're skiing along in a backcountry and all of a sudden a storm comes in, it becomes not fun.
It's probably pretty similar. And I was able to extend that passion for skiing to our work because we worked with a number of ski resorts and worked with SIA for 7 years. So it was nice to be able to extend that passion into what I do for a day job.
And you've been in PR forever, right? Is that your first outdoor job?
Well, I've been in PR I will just say 35 plus.
Yeah. Okay.
It's more than that. But I actually started as a lobbyist in Washington, D.C. for 7 years.
Oh, I don't think I knew that. Interesting.
Yeah, I lobbied on energy and environment
Uh-huh.
and lobbied for the city of New York. So I was working for the mayor's office in D.C.
Oh.
Worked for the another outdoor group, not outdoor environmental group called Friends of the Earth. And again, that was on the reauthorization of the 1975 Clean Air Act.
Yeah.
And then was privileged to be in the White House and congressional liaison, also working on urban parks. So that's where I actually started my career, was in D.C. in government relations, which I still really, really love. And that's, why I go to the Capitol Summit every year with OIA.
Yeah, that must be fascinating. Yeah, that was what was the best part of that job? What did you like most, being in the actual workings of the government?
Yeah, I mean, it's really pretty interesting to learn how the government works. And what I will say, it has, the process itself has not significantly changed, except it's gotten much more splintered when you look at what's going on today, and that the drama has increased tenfold. But in fact, the issues are really the same.
Yeah. Whether
it's energy or environment or tariffs, but when you start in Washington and you learn those skills of how to lobby and approach a congressman or a senator, now you have about 30 seconds to get their attention. It's the same thing that I have to do here.
Right.
In storytelling, you have to be able to tell your story in 30 seconds. So those days in Washington trained me really well for what we're doing now.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. I'm reading a book about Taft and Roosevelt by Kearns. I forget her first name. Great book, but yeah, they're talking about
Doris
Kearns.
She's
That's her. Yeah,
well-known historian.
Yeah, great book, huge book. It's going to take me forever, but it's amazing how the things that they were talking about back then is same stuff we're talking about now, and some of the same processes. It's kind of refreshing and reassuring that the process doesn't change in spite of all the noise and politics and all that. But
I think the founders and our Constitution, they were pretty smart.
Man, they were wizards, those guys.
I know. I mean, when you're looking at what's happening today with the impeachment and everything.
Yeah.
The process has gotten us through since, the country was born. And so you have to admire the process. We'll see what happens. But it was a really good experience. And I still, really love politics. I'm sort of a political junkie. And sometimes I think maybe I should just quit PR and go work on a presidential campaign.
Yeah.
But then I realized I need to make money. So.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not happening anytime.
And you don't need that kind of stress. It's different stress levels, but I'm sure it's much rougher.
No, I have enough. Yeah.
Yeah. How did CGPR come about? What inspired you to start your own gig?
It's really interesting. When I was working for Rockport, I was internal PR. My job ended, and I decided that I was just going to do my own thing. And I started on my dining room table with one client, and the first client was Killington Resort in New England. Worked with them for 7 years, and then the next client was Merrill. Nice. And we stayed with Merrill for 14 years, and the rest of everything sort of fell into place. I just decided that we could have fun and work with clients that we like. And one thing happened, and here we are literally 27 years later.
Good for you. And you've worked with some great brands, still work with great brands. I mean,
yeah, we've worked with some really good brands. We've had the privilege of working with Adidas Terex for 10 years. We've worked with Primaloft for 6 years. We get Merrill. We worked with Gore for 16 years.
Wow.
But we also work with the clients that are not in this industry. So it actually keeps us on our toes. Technology clients, a lot of fashion clients, crisis management. But we have had the privilege of working with iconic outdoor brands.
What percentage of your clients are not outdoor, would you say?
I would probably say somewhere between 30 and 40.
Okay, that's a lot. Yeah.
I mean, we really try and be balanced in our approach. I mean, I position us as a consumer active lifestyle agency. So, we certainly love the outdoors, but it's really important for us to make sure we're sharp in other categories.
Yeah.
I've done a ton of work in travel, a ton of work in mergers and acquisitions, investor relations, crisis management. So there's a lot of work we do in those categories too.
Keeps you well-rounded and on your game, I'm sure.
I try. You have to be on your game because PR has changed.
Oh, these days, man, it just changes in a second, doesn't it? It's amazing.
The media cycle is unforgiving and
short.
Completely, it's a nanosecond. But the other thing, Rick, is that PR agencies are no longer just PR agencies. They have to be everything.
Right.
It's completely changes, and that evolution is not going away anytime soon.
What were some of the early challenges getting started, getting the thing off the ground?
I think the early challenges were actually, getting business, because when you're originally it was just me, and then, then it was a couple other people, but you have to balance the challenge of servicing your clients and doing 5-star work with making sure that you can keep the lights on.
Right.
So, how do you get your own business? And then how do you make sure you provide top-notch service to your clients? So it's a challenge. It's a challenge that, I still have today.
Yeah.
And it's that, the business is significantly harder than when I started.
Yeah. So it's significantly harder. The news cycle is much shorter. How do you guys pull some overnighters, all-nighters sometimes because of what's going on?
It's not really overnighters. I would have to say it's I'm definitely 24/7, and you could ask anybody
Sure.
on my team. You always have to be on. You always have to have an ear for what's happening in the news cycle. You also always have to be conscious of what's going on with your client's business. So it's not necessarily, sitting in your office and pulling an all-nighter.
But if something hits the fan, then you guys have to scramble and come up with a story, and that might result in an all-nighter, I would think.
Oh yeah, I mean there definitely have been
but not that
moments
many.
of time.
Yeah.
We have handled a number of crises, and but having done that a long time, I've handled fatalities at ski resorts. I've handled CEOs behaving badly. I've handled product recalls. So there's a method to the madness, but you just have to be on your toes. That's really what it's about. So PR, I would say, is not for the faint-hearted. You either love it or you hate it. There's no middle ground with PR.
And do you find over the years that you are less surprised by things that pop up or more surprised by things that pop up?
That's a really good question. I think it's probably somewhere in the middle because you still will always have a drama and things that you don't want to happen. I think what the surprise part is perhaps the speed at which they happen. And how you have literally 10 seconds sometimes to make a decision that's going to have a huge impact. When I started, or even a few years ago, you had a little bit more time. So I think the speed, it continues to surprise me. And speed around the world, right? Things get around the world immediately. It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, Rick, one of the things I say to my clients are, it takes you 2 seconds to get in the PR doghouse. A CEO can say something terrible right. And it takes them 2 seconds, but it can take them years to get out.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Yeah. That's a good point. Yep. Exactly. Some of those things you never recover from.
That is true. It lives on in perpetuity. I mean, it's on the internet forever.
Yeah, exactly. So what inspires you to keep at it after all these years? What do you love most about it?
It's really simple. I love what I do.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore what I do. And I've had the privilege of working with some fabulous teammates and people that, teach me things all the time, and journalists who push us to be better at what we do. And, the privilege of working with clients that have amazing technologies. So it's really the fact that I love what I do. But again, it's the people that I've had the privilege to work with. And that's what keeps me going. Literally, that's what keeps me going.
So it's the people. That's what you love the most. The people, you would say.
It's the people, but also the work itself. I mean,
is there one part of the work that you really just we get to do this? Is it really just?
I think it's it might be just telling a client story in a successful way that helps them drive their business forward. One of the things we're really proud of is the fact that we were able to launch Adidas Outdoor in the U.S. and help build that brand over a period of 10 years. That was really fun. And, again, it's always sad to say goodbye to a client after 10 years, but it was amazing to be able to have that challenge because when Adidas came into the market, it was like nobody wanted us. Like, why do we need you? We already have, Patagonia or Marmot or whatever. And so that was a huge opportunity, but it was also the people and being able to work with, Greg Thompson and the folks at Agron. And that was amazing. Yeah. Amazing. I love it.
It's pretty awesome. I got to do that when we brought Montbell to the U.S. It's pretty exciting to start from scratch. It's all brand new. You get to create it. And
it's so hard though now.
Well, even then you run into those headwinds like, what, who, you're copying Patagonia, it's like, well, not exactly. It's amazing the things you run into. Yeah.
this category is so competitive now. But the other thing is, the definition of the outdoor experience has evolved. It's no longer about 5 days on Everest. It's watching your kid play soccer on the weekend or walking down Fifth Avenue. Yeah. And so you have a lot more players who feel that they are, in the outdoor category. And so the competition to engage with consumers is significantly harder. So
and consumers are more savvy too. They're sharp.
Yep, totally. And they're more demanding, and they have so many more places to search for information, and they're very discerning about the brands, in which they engage with. So the world has changed. It's upside down.
How frequently do you get new clients? Do you change that often, or is it typically a 5-year run, or?
Our average is between 5 to 7 years. I mean, the agency world is very cyclical, and that's one of the challenges of running an agency. Sometimes you have no control. Sometimes, a new marketing director will come in and he wants to bring in his own agency, or there is a budget cut, or there are countless reasons that clients and agencies part ways. So that's one of the things that I have to work hard at. But we stay with our clients an average of 5 to 7 years. But I'm always looking for new opportunities to work with great companies. But it's definitely a challenge, and it's probably the hardest part of my job. To get new business.
And saying goodbye is hard too. Whether it's you or them, it's always tough.
It's always hard to say goodbye. But again, been doing this now 27 years. It's just part of business. Whether you're an advertising agency or whether you're a law firm or whatever. Clients come and clients go. You just have to stay focused on doing the work for the people that you're working with at that time, and that's what you have to do. You have to just stay focused.
Yeah. Of all the products you guys are covering, do you have some favorites?
I do have favorites. It's really interesting. So we were privileged to work with Primaloft and launch the first biodegradable, recyclable synthetic insulation. That was definitely a game changer for the industry, and that was a really amazing product. And Parlay for the oceans, which has a huge partnership with Adidas, is really an interesting technology, which is also a favorite. We also really, really love, what Night Ice does with
those guys are amazing.
Amazing.
They're wizards again. Wizards. I'm going to use that term again.
That's a really good word, because we just came from CES, and they launched the first the first rechargeable glow stick, which is amazing. The first rechargeable LED dog leash and collar. So they just solve daily life challenges, and it's amazing what they do. But another product which is really wonderful is LifeStraw, which is personal water filtration. But for every product you purchase from LifeStraw, a child in an underdeveloped country gets access to clean water, safe drinking water for 1 year. Wow. So it's not just buy one, give one. LifeStraw goes on the ground, staffs those communities, and they do a lot of work in Kenya. So there's just a selection of some of the great clients that we work with. But I mean, all of our clients have a distinct point of difference. We're privileged to work with all of them.
And something's cool with each of them. Do you have a funny story or a unique story that with a brand or a product launch or a trade show?
Yeah, I would
travel
say,
Calamity.
Well, I travel 100.
You travel a lot, so
yeah. You probably remember the Dawn Wall.
Yeah.
The whole story with the Dawn Wall and Kevin Jorgensen and Tommy Caldwell. So we knew that people were gaining interest in the story, and I think it was day 2, and they were up on the ledge. And I was talking to Kevin, and he had just actually done an interview. I don't know whether it was with, I can't remember, MSNBC. But we sort of got the sense that this story was going to blow up, really blow up. Yeah. And so I called Greg Thompson in Germany. It was 3:00 in the morning, his time. And I said to Greg, I need to get on a plane and go to Yosemite, because this story is going to blow up big time. And he said, okay, just go do what you need to do. And I flew out the next day. I landed in San Francisco. I think I got in at 1:00 in the morning. The fog was so bad, I had to stop at some sort of Fleabag hotel. I had to sleep with my clothes on before I could get to Yosemite, because the hotel was so bad.
It's a bit of a drive, from San Francisco.
But the lead up into what became a global iconic story, where I was dealing with 21 satellite trucks, in Yosemite, dealing with the park rangers as to where they wanted the satellite trucks. So it's a little bit of a funny story, but also probably one of the most amazing opportunities I've had my career.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was incredible. It led to the meeting with the publisher of the New York Times, who's also a climber, and also to sit in on one of the Times' editorial meetings, which they have every morning.
Oh, wow, that'd be interesting.
With all the editors, it's a conference room in the Times, and all the bureau chiefs call in from around the world, pitch their stories. So that was amazing. So it's a funny story, but it's also an amazing story. It's one of the best things I've ever done. Very
cool. Yeah, good experience. That must be fascinating, hearing all those pitches too. Those guys are pretty good at pitching, I'll bet.
Yeah, no, they were great. It was astounding. The coolest thing about what happened with the Dawn Wall was that it started out as a climbing story, but it became a human interest story. Right. Is Tommy going to wait for Kevin? Is Kevin going to make it?
Right.
And we had interest. I mean, my phone was blowing up for 2 days with people from Brazil and Vietnam and China and Russia and the UK and everywhere. And people were actually flying into Yosemite so they can chart this story. And there's a video on our website that actually shows what happened. And
cool. We'll link to that in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah. CNN did 3 pieces. They were on Ellen. That was the coolest thing. Ellen wanted them on, and Ellen has this whole process about who sits next to her in the next chair. So great opportunity. Anyway, I could go on and on.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Well, we'll link to that video in the show notes. That'd be awesome. So you ski and sail. What other outdoor activities do you participate in? Do you have time to get out much? Cycling? Okay.
Yeah, I make the time. Cycling. My husband and I are avid road cyclists, which is why we chose Newport Beach, because Newport Beach has, sailing, cycling, and those are our two. Those are what are doing now. Those are really where we spend most of our time, is cycling and sailing.
Gotcha. Do you have any suggestions or advice for someone wanting to get into the outdoor adventure biz, or if they're already in, maybe grow their career?
It's definitely not for the faint of heart. Somebody who, you have to really love what you do, and what's so easy about this category is that it's an easy category to love. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're doing PR for a tissue box or the world of cement. I mean, it's an easy category to love. I think it's doing your homework. Make sure you understand what's going on in the category. Read as much as you can about trends. Stay connected to people in the outdoors. Look at all of the outdoor job sites. The outdoor industry is welcoming to a degree, and we're always happy to network. And for me in particular, if someone wants to ask me those questions, I always take the time to talk to them on the phone.
Yeah, that's great about it. Everybody's willing to talk. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't that's not always the case, like investment banking, but because it's such a welcoming industry. I mean, it has some things that it's challenged with, but you have to be. It's really the advice I give to anybody starting out. You have to be passionate about what you do.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good.
Or find your passion along the way, because you're going to be working hard, and you don't want to work hard at something that's not going to make you happy.
I couldn't have said it better. That's why I'm here.
Yep.
So I've added a new question for 2020. If you could have a huge banner at the entrance of the outdoor show, what would it say?
Oh, that's a really interesting question.
I actually stole it from Tim Ferriss. Thank you, Tim. He asks it in a different way on his podcast, but I just think it's fascinating because there's so many things, going on in the industry, within the dealing with brands and dealing with retail and just the business of the industry. But then at the same time, behind the scenes, there's all these things going on with, the trade shows and different things happening with brands. Stuff blowing up here, not blowing up there. Stuff getting popular, not getting popular. Is there one message?
It would probably be something like passion and partnership.
I like it.
Passion for what you do, but whether it's a trade show or whether it's a trade show booth or whether it's a brand. I mean, you have to have both of those things to get forward, and to move anything forward. You have to have passion for it. And there will be partners that will help you along the way. So whether it's, introducing, Kenji and, that that new trade show or introducing a new brand, you have to have love for what it is and what it stands for, and you have to have partners that can help you, go from point A to point B. Those would be my.
That's good. That's what makes the industry so great. I think that's a really good one because I talk about it all the time on the show. We can compete like the most challenging competition going on, but then we can have a beer at the end of the day and talk about it. Whereas, as you mentioned, some of these industries that you cannot do that. If you're competing with someone, they become your mortal enemy, and we just don't have that.
I do think, Rick, the industry has changed significantly because when you and I, started, it was still a lot of mom and pop brands, working out of their garage, and now the industry is Wall Street savvy. You basically have 4 conglomerates that pretty much own everything. There's still room for fresh, up and coming brands, and those are sort of the engine of the industry, I think. But I think the competition continues to be good and makes us all better.
Right.
But there is this passion, I think, that unites us that I don't think is found in a lot of other industries, honestly.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
I could be wrong, but what do I know?
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. We can go, work hard during the day and then ski together and still, unlike some of our politicians these days.
Yeah.
Do you have any daily routines to keep your sanity? Do you meditate? Do you get exercise every day?
Yeah. I'm a crazy devotee of spinning, so I spin all the time. Not Soul Cycle. I have a local place I go here.
You don't have a Peloton yet?
You know what? I use the Peloton app all the time.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I will just go to my gym and get on the spin bike and use the app all the time.
Oh, okay, good.
I also work out with a trainer 3 times a week. 2 other things. We have a puppy right now who is, keeping me sane because that really keeps you grounded.
Right.
And something I do every single day without fail is actually read the hard copy of the New York Times cover to cover.
Wow. That's impressive. Yeah.
Wow. It's just, actually my mom did that every day. And there's some really good things in the New York Times.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. How about some favorite podcasts or books? Or do you give books as gifts?
Which I don't necessarily get books as gifts, but the one I just read, which I thought was a page turner for me, was Ronan Farrow's Catch and Kill. He's a journalist that helped break the Harvey Weinstein story.
Yeah.
And he wrote this book, Catch and Kill, about how American media, bought the 2 stories of the Playboy bunnies, and they basically bought them and then killed the story. And then he was also involved with the Matt Lauer saga, but it's more a story about journalism and the challenges that journalists face when they're trying to sell a story within a big corporate organization that may not want to publish the story because their own people are part of it. So really interesting. I happen to think he's a good reporter. That was definitely a page turner for me.
Oh, good. We'll link to that in the show
Catch and
notes.
Kill.
Yeah, cool. I'll link to that too. How about your favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100 or right at $100?
Oh, that's an easy one for me. That's probably my sailing shoes.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, that is an easy one for you.
Yeah.
And those Night Eyes guys have a lot of phenomenal gear under $100. Those guys. Man.
Yeah, I mean the great thing. So I do a lot of sailboat deliveries too, and brought a sailboat back from Canada this summer, and Night Eyes has fantastic headlamps. They were actually one of the original headlamp creators that have the white and black modes, because when you're down below in a sailboat during the night, you have to be using the red mode. So I would say those two together with the Night Eyes headlamp as well as my sailing shoes.
Cool.
Because if you don't have good sailing shoes, you slip all over the deck.
Right, I can imagine. What brand sailing shoes do you have?
I have a pair of. I have 2. I have a pair of Sperry's and Helly Hansen.
And are they like high top tennis shoes, hiking shoes?
No, I mean they're like an athletic shoe, but they actually have a distinct grip. So
different grip.
Yeah, and so the water just drains out.
Gotcha.
And so
it's a low cut kind of.
Yeah. It's like an athletic training shoe, but the sole is different because it has the areas for the water to drain out, so it really gives you good grip.
Gotcha. Right. As we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to say to our listeners or ask of our listeners?
No, I think I've just been it's been a privilege to work in this industry and to see it evolve. And I think that the cool thing about this, Rick, is that I think it's really resilient, which is also another reason to stay involved in it, because even when the economy tanks, like it did in 2008, the industry was flat because people still want to go outside. Yeah. And people still need gear to go outside. The only thing I wish is that we would find ways to make apparel, equipment, and gear less expensive, so the price of entry to participation could be more inclusive, because I still think there are a lot of people that might not be able to afford some of the things that we offer. And so I think if we could maybe just do a better job of being price sensitive. And also, this is something you probably heard from everybody. Inclusivity is, also really important for us. I think we have a lot of work to do there. Yeah,
I'm with you. Yeah, and the sustainability piece too. I think we're making a lot of progress there, but man, we're running out of time. So,
but you know what? The sustainability piece is interesting because we set the example for the world. I mean, again, when you look at what PrimaLoft did with PrimaLoft Bio, and when you look at all the things that the brands are doing from a sustainability perspective, this industry is setting the tone for the fashion world. Yep. And so that's really amazing. I mean, yes, we have a lot more work to do, but I think
we're doing great things. I agree. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
It's just it's a race against time. Yeah.
It is. But what's happening is that people are incorporating those kinds of things. I mean, in their strategy. The thing that really heartens me, I don't know if you saw the note yesterday from Larry Fink at BlackRock, which is a huge,
huge deal. Yep, saw that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, focusing on climate change for his investment and strategy. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. That could move the needle in a significant way. Yeah.
We live in hope. Yeah.
That's right. Yep. And if people want to follow up with you, how's the best way to get in touch? Are you on LinkedIn, Twitter?
I'm really active on LinkedIn. So I really, I look at that 3 or 4 times a day. Email is fine. Twitter is fine. I mean, I'm everywhere. I'm happy to talk to anybody that wants to talk.
Cool. Well, we'll put links to that in the show notes too. Well, thanks, Chris. It's been great catching up.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks for letting me blab on about, what we do.
No, it's fascinating. I think everybody's got a great story. That's why I do this. It's fun to share it and fun to hear all the nuances, and
you've done some really interesting ones too. I mean, it's also, as you said in the beginning, it's a way to learn about people. And
so fun. Yeah, it's so fun. Well, thanks for coming on. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
You bet.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to go to the outdoorbizpodcast.com where you find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. Until next time, be sure to make time to get outside.